Hello and welcome back. This is video number 3, and hopefully by now you have an idea of where your website stands. So based upon that, in this video, we're going to talk about how to speed up your website by using certain and specific plugins. So let's go ahead and show you how to do that and what plugins you should use. Okay, so as we mentioned earlier, that a lot of WordPress sites tend to have a lot of images. And as you know, images have a specific size. Some of them are really big because of a high resolution, or some of them are really small. So if you have really big ones, obviously that's going to slow down your website, because when people visit your page, they have to load all of those images. Now, of course, you might be thinking, well, I have a lot of images, but they are actually very small. Even in that case, when you have a lot of images, but they're not a lot, but there's a lot on that page, even if they're like 100 kilobytes, but you have 10, that's equivalent to 1 megabyte. So it might be fast for somebody with a super fast fiber optics internet speed, but you got to remember, not everybody has that. You might have folks who are in the middle of nowhere and they have slow internet. So you have to keep in mind who is actually visiting your site. So you got a range. All right. So Imagify is what we recommend. They do have a WordPress plugin, but they are also a service that basically what it does is, if you have 100 images, it'll go through the 100 images and it'll optimize those images. And you can specify how much optimization that you want. So I'll show you that in just a minute. But it does cost a little bit of money. As you can see, it's about $5, so it's not a big deal. You don't need any of these until you start using it and you realize, okay, I need 2 gigabytes or more. So start with this one. It's $5, not a big deal. And then they have a WordPress plugin and you can install that. Now, if I go over here, which I'm going to go into a real WordPress dashboard, a real site that is actually using Imagify. And here we go. So this is already installed. And you can see it's fairly simple. Once you've installed the plugin, as you can see here, you have normal, aggressive, and ultra. What that means is normal means it'll optimize it a little bit and it will squeeze, let's say, for example, a 1 megabyte image to maybe 750 or 500 kilobytes. If you do aggressive, it's going to go smaller. But at the same time, you're going to also lose quality of that image. So a good way to detect, Imagify actually has a visual comparison. So if you click this, you can see what it looks like. So it says this is the original, this is normal, and this is aggressive. So it's very hard to see, but it's very, very small in terms of the losing the image quality. Now, what I like about it is that you can auto-optimize images on upload. So that means any future images that you upload, it's going to automatically optimize them. And you want to check to back up original images, because let's say there's a problem and there's a mistake. You want to have the backup of the old images so that you can revert back to them if anything were to happen. And then the EXIF data is basically information in the image. So whenever you take an image, it's not empty. There's information inside of it that says different information, such as, when it was taken and all these other information. So you can remove that information, which of course would make your image smaller, but at the same time, you want to keep it. All right. Because Google actually looks at the images, and sometimes they'll look at the EXIF data. So that's why I recommend actually keeping it. All right, so that's pretty much the main part. You can tell it the sizes of the files that you want to optimize. So it'll take one image and it'll make a thumbnail, a medium, medium large, large, post thumbnail, and all of these here. And that's it. So that's all you have to do. And if you want to go to the media library, you will have the option to actually bulk optimize all the images that you uploaded previously. All right, so you can do that as well. You don't have to, but I highly recommend that you do. So that takes care of image optimization. The next thing I want to talk about is CDNs, or content delivery networks. The way they work is basically like this. So everyone is connected to a web host, and that web host is connected to a specific location. So if you were in, let's say, the UK, and your data center happened to be in London, if you were driving traffic to the site and somebody from, let's say, the United States were to visit your website, their computer internet would have to go all the way to UK, to London, to that data center to view it, which basically means that it's going to load slower for them, whereas it might load really fast for you. It's going to load slower. So that's why you need a CDN. There are many different types of CDNs. Some web hosting companies will actually have it included for free, but Cloudflare is one of them. And another one is called StackPath. It's actually MaxCDN is now StackPath, as you can see here. All right. So these are two options that you can take. And they also, a lot of times, will have WordPress plugins that will integrate into their system. And of course, last but not least, we're going to talk about caching plugins. Caching plugins basically make it so that if somebody visits your site, you can tell it to do a cache, which means it saves the website on their computer. So that next time when they visit the website, they already have all the images and the website and all that detail on their computer. So it loads really fast. And that's the premise of WP Total Cache. We recommend Total Cache because it's been around for a while and the free version itself is quite powerful. And you don't necessarily have to upgrade to the paid version. Now, as you can see here, as I scroll down, you can actually integrate MaxCDN into the WP Total Cache. All right, so you can do that. And if we go down, we can see there's general settings. And you have general mode, you have page cache. The page cache, you definitely want to enable that. And you have minify. So I don't know if you remember the GT metrics report, but it had information on minify. So as you can see, I would highly recommend that you set it to auto, and then you select minify, JSMin, and minify. Now, most of these information and these settings are by default. So what I would do is I would just tweak it to make it default and see how fast your website loads. If it improves, then great. You can always change this around. But for the most part, just stick with the default settings and you should be good to go. And that's it.